All right, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw that ES got very close to that 50 half resistance and then for the most part just balanced up near the highs of the range. And it did so on pretty decent volume. So now heading into the open, even though we have that pre-market resistance at 49 to 51, it calls for caution because of all the balance that's established up near the overnight highs. At this point, if we get a breakout above the overnight high and through that 49 to 51, the market could quite easily test the 55 half resistance and the 57 half to 59 half initial resistance zone. Now 57 half to 59 half is the area that we broke down from where we got that big move last week. So that's a very key zone on the upside, and I do expect sellers to be active on first test of 57 half to 59 half, pretty key area. Now, if we take out initial resistance, the next really the main resistance zone would be the 64 half to 67 half. And if sellers are really going to press today or get the market back down for a retest of the breakout that we saw yesterday at 36 half to 38 half, then the market really should not even get all the way up to that 64 half to 67 half zone, which is the top of the range, right? That's where the market topped out and then headed lower. So if there's going to be some weakness today, or at least some balance in the market today, then we really should not even go all the way back up to 64 half. And 57 half to 59 half initial resistance is really going to be the key spot that decides the tone of the market on the day. And even bigger picture, I think that's an important zone. So, first test of that, given the relative weakness in the other markets, unless the day is setting up to be a strong trend type day and momentum is just, extremely strong on the upside, where you're continuing to see plus 1,000, plus 1,200 tick readings, then, I'd be careful because you are fading short-term momentum. But that 57 half to 59 half zone is a good spot for sellers to enter the market. And at the very minimum, expect some level of rotation, but that could even be a failure spot where it caps the upside short term, and then we get a pullback to 49 to 51, and potentially to 36 half to 38 half. At that point there would be a lot of short term strength, so it may take a while for the ES to actually pull back all the way to initial support, but from initial resistance we can expect a pullback to 49 to 51 for a retest of at least the overnight breakout. On the downside, the main support area, we have some support at 39 half, the gap overnight low 40 half, so buyers can still be active even there, but really the main support zone and the main inflection point on the downside is the 36 half to 38 half, which marks the late day breakout from yesterday. So if this short-term momentum is going to continue and the strength is really going to continue, then that's the spot where buyers should be active, the 36 half to 38 half. Now, we could still get a little bit more of a pullback. It doesn't mean that a break of that zone puts sellers in control short term. We could come down to 33, and really the key zone to kind of maintain this short-term bullish structure is going to be 28.75 to 30.75. That's the spot that buyers must absolutely defend if this short-term momentum to the upside is going to remain intact. So 36 half to 38 half is a potential long spot on first test. If the market is truly strong, then that area could be the low of day, and we can get a decent sized bounce back up to 49.51 and potentially even higher, right? Especially if we go straight down to the initial support zone first, then it would still be a good spot for buyers to be active. And again, at the minimum, we expect rotation, but it's a spot that could actually lead to a bigger upswing as well from initial support all the way up to initial resistance. Again, it can take some time for that to materialize, but eventually that type of activity can take place. Below initial support, we have support at 33, and again, that key support is 28.75 to 30.75. So in the event of a deep pullback, that 28.75 to 30.75 zone has potential to be low of day, and that's really a heavy spot of acceptance. If we're going to continue higher, then ideally the market should not even go all the way back down there. But in the event that it does, that's a spot where we could see some pretty decent buying activity. And if that zone gives out, then we have to be reevaluating and reassessing yesterday's strength, right? Because at that point, it could be a failed breakout scenario, and it doesn't mean that we're gonna reverse right away and head lower. Even if we break 28.75 to 30.75, it doesn't mean that now we're going to liquidate. It just means that the market might not put in the strong bounce that we expect at support at the moment, right? Given the momentum from yesterday, given the strength that we're seeing in the market right now, at the moment, the longs at support have decent reward to risk and very good reward potential. At that point, it just means that it might be more of a balanced, rotational type trade. But the support zones below can still attract responsive buyers on first test. So 23.75 to 25.75, especially 17.5 to 19.5. All those areas can still attract buyers and result in some decent bounces. It's just that the magnitude of the bounces might not be, as big if we break 28.75 to 30.75. So right now, the main idea is we're balancing at the highs. There is potential for that breakout move up towards the initial resistance zone. Get sellers involved over there. Perhaps rotate, start balancing, and basically just balance within a range. There is still chance to go up to 64.5, 67.5. That would basically invalidate this whole breakdown. We would then be in a larger balance area. Sellers can still be active there on first test, but at that point, at least we would know, it would be confirmed that, the buyers are very much in control, and, now we can still balance in a range, but, the short setups are not going to be these big, liquidation type setups at that point. So right now, heading into, the open, 49.51 still intact. Keep an eye on that, see how we react to it. It's a riskier spot to short because we've balanced so much at the highs. On the downside, long setups at initial support and at the support zones below. And overall, if we head lower, expect balance. If we head higher, there's a chance that we could get a little bit follow through, but at the end of the day, the overall expectation is not that of a trend day, but of more of a balance type session. So we can still get sellers involved at the resistance zones, buyers active at support. Short term, we know that the momentum is still on the buy side, so be a little bit careful off the open, but that's the overall expectation on the day. So, off the open, let's see if the buyers can hold it together and put in that breakout move for a test of initial resistance, and we'll take it from there.